What's up, fellas, guys and girls, guitar enthusiasts, numbskulls? Max is over there somewhere. So what we're looking at today is this jack in this Telly. It's a pretty common occurrence. As you unplug the guitar or where things happen, the cup itself starts to pull out of the guitar body. And if you're lucky, you can kind of tap it back in a little bit, a time or two, but what ends up starting to happen is the little clip that's inside starts to bend and spin in the wood and starts to dig itself loose. And after a bit, that has to be taken out, flattened out, put back in, and hopefully, if we're lucky, we'll be able to reseat it in a different section of wood so it's not digging away the wood. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to loosen up the control panel because this is a 52 all flathead screws, so that's always fun. So we'll take that loose. Got some homeschooling program playing in the background. Max is over there like, Dad, this is boring. I have many other things I would rather be doing than this. All right, so I'm gonna expose that control panel. All right, it's been a bit since I've done this. This is a really nifty tool from Stu Mac. It's made to compress and decompress that spring. Yeah, we'll see what happens. And then we know somewhere we're going to need this to loosen up that nut on the jack itself. All right, so we spin that loose. All right, we got that loose. Lock washer, other washer. The jack should just push through. Anytime you're dealing with this kind of stuff, it's always just like, hopefully. All right, so we got lucky there. Okay, so that jack cup itself should pop out of there pretty easy, but it doesn't seem like it's really wanting to. See what we can do about that. Loosen up a bit, hopefully it should unseat itself and come out. We're starting to get some movement there. hope that jack cup would just pop itself right loose, but it is definitely not wanting to do so. Have to get it loose to get to that clip. So come on out of there, jack cup. Wish I could just. I'm surprised how tight that is in there, as much as it's wanted to come loose just with the cord. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna get a 1/4-inch cable. Use that to help loosen it up a little. Once we have it up enough that we're not going to dig into the guitar, then we should be able to take a screwdriver and just keep breaking it loose a little bit here and there. Voila. Okay. Turns out this is completely different than I was expecting. So it doesn't actually have the flat piece that digs into the guitar. It just has these teeth on the cup itself. That's new to me. Never seen that. Not sure how I feel about that design. I don't love the old design either. It's a neat concept, but I'm not sure that in actual use that it works the way that they intended. Okay, on second thought, I have this old vintage masking tape that might be perfect. It's aged, looks vintage appropriate, it's not too sticky, it's thin. It might be the ticket, might not be the ticket. Let's just see what happens. So I'm gonna take a piece of that. Be a little smaller. So we're going to cut just a bit of that off. So the goal here, I don't know if you guys can see that, but the goal is to get it just down past that knurling. Not up enough that when the jack cup goes in that it sticks out at all, but just below the edge of the cup, over the knurling and down into here. So it shouldn't be in the way, and it should help it get a little bit more bite into the edge of the wood and keep it from wanting to break loose after a bit. No guarantees on any of this kind of stuff. You just kind of have to try it and see what happens. That's one thing about repairing guitars, is you never know what you're getting into. Sometimes the easiest fix can turn into a complete monstrous, crazy thing. Alright, that should be more than enough to get around that. Okay, so let's just see if that's get the job done. Okay, that works. Fold it up a little bit. Probably go a little bit more, just to keep it as clean as possible.
I would be interested to hear you guys' opinion about this bullshit, overused guitar culture opinion. Man, that would make
More than enough. Oh yeah, that's pretty close. So we really just want to keep it off the edge of that cup. Max is like, Dad, I've had enough of this. Haven't you, buddy? Haven't you, Mr. Max? Yes, sir. You're a good boy. All right. So we've made it around, just to keep that as neat as I can. We're gonna trim it, not break it, even though breaking it would be just fine. But we'll cut it the appropriate length, so it's not really overlapping, creating an issue. It's, and right there where it's catching on that edge of that cup, I would like to get that off. Okay, getting pretty close, pretty close. Okay. Try to seat that down as much as we possibly can. So all we're really trying to do is just get a little bit more mass around the edge of that jack cup to bite into that wood, so it's got a little bit more grab to it and won't want to work itself loose. We're going to press it down to get those teeth hopefully dig through. Run it down all the way around real good. One little spot there I'm not super happy with. I want to cut loose. Oh yeah, there we go. Had that little tiny bit that was wanting to sit on top of that cup. All right. Okay, let's put it back in there. Try to get lined up as much as we can before we get carried away. get it lined up as close as possible, and then give it a little love tap with the rubber mallet until it's fully seated. Will it work? Who knows? But we're about to see. I think once it's seated, it should really help hold it. Now that we've got it almost seated, we're going to take this to press down in that cup a little bit better. All around the edge. Chance on hitting the wood or the finish around the guitar. We're driving more on the middle part of that cup. Don't know if you guys can see that, but we are in business. Fully seated, nice and tight. Should be good for several thousand plug and plays. And now all we gotta do is work this jack back up in there. So there's a few good ways of doing that. The easiest way is to tie something to it, pull it back through. Let's see if we can come up with something. Hold what you got. So without digging through the wire, I'm hoping I might be able to take this. Something like that. That will feed through there. It's just stiff enough to not be too much of a problem. You never know. And then look at that. Now that we have it in place, we're going to go ahead and feed our washers and our nut on there before we let it get away. Extremely lucky. Get a couple twists on that nut. without it popping loose again. I think we might have. Okay. And hopefully we can. Pop the cable tie back through, and we are in business to snug that jack up. Okay, so we're not going to get too carried away there yet. We're going to check. Seems to be plenty of room for it to catch, as it should. So make sure that we don't twist that wire up in that jack. So reaching through there with a finger, holding it snug as we tighten that up. Seems to be I think we're good. Another quick fit, make sure. All right. We seem to be in business. Leave all that sawdust that fell out of that hole. So we don't do any unintentional scuffing of the guitar. Lots of sawdust. Lots of buffing compound that's still dried up in that control cavity. Okay. So what we're going to do is put the screws back in. These look different, but I think it's just the lighting. Loosely fit that control plate back on. Finger tight before getting carried away. These flathead screws just look vintage, they look cool, but if you're not careful, the screwdriver will slip out and gouge up your guitar. So I kind of like to just put my finger around it to prevent that from happening. Not that I've ever done that or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of keep that same concept here. Even though we have the pick guard and the metal plate. Still want to kind of keep it on the screw and not slipping off, take any chances.
Thanks for all the sweet, kind words that you guys really saying some sweet things.
All right, we are snugged up and ready to test. I like the way it feels snapping in there. And let's just see. Hopefully the battery in this thing is alive. Just do a quick little run through. All right, boom. Make sure volume works. It does. I think we are in business. So, like I said, you never know what you're going to get into. Anytime you get into what's a semi-simple guitar repair, it turns out to not be semi-simple. But when the Tele gods give you soured milk, make butter out of it. Boom. Better than ever. All right, friends. Have a good one. Oh, I did want to say, like and subscribe to the videos. Let me know what you want to see. I'm going to be doing lots of guitar repairs and things coming up. Some slight things to do with amps, but I'm not really an amp repair guy, just to get by, but I do lots of guitar repairs, instructional videos, shootouts, that kind of stuff. So hang in there with me. All right, I'm out.